Hello viewers, I'm your host Uzma Jaffrey with another episode of South Asia Focus. Let's begin the show with India, where the annual budget for the fiscal year 2018-19 was presented. The budget assumed significance as it was the last full budget presented by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led government before the country goes for general elections next year. A report.
Amid wide speculations and expectations, Indian Finance Minister Arun Jaitley presented the Union Budget for the fiscal year 2018-19 in Indian Parliament. While presenting a non-populous and a future-oriented budget, Jaitley announced significant incentives for the new jobs and creation of labour flexibility by allowing contract labour in all sectors. The budget targeted a fiscal deficit of 3.3% of gross domestic product in 2018-19, compared with the market expectations for a deficit of 3.2%.
They were expecting 3.2 and it turned out to be 3.3, so not much. So far as fiscal prudence is concerned and the projections of what we have, I think every number looks realistic. So market has given thumbs up.
Finance Minister said that the country had grown on an average of 7.5% in the first 3 years of the current government and has become a $2.5 trillion economy. India is 7th largest economy in the world and is poised to become 5th largest in coming years. People across the economic spectrum called it a balanced budget in long-term interest of the country.
As per expectation, I think this year they didn't have room to give much relief to the corporate sector, which anyway, I think earnings growth momentum has started to pick up. So though all of us were hoping for a corporate tax rate cut across the board for all corporates, I think at best we can hope that this has been postponed by another year, and hopefully we'll be back on the table when there is a little bit more room.
So I think a very, very responsible balancing act between maintaining fiscal discipline on one hand and addressing a very wide spectrum of needs of the economy on the other hand. Those needs are towards social security, towards infrastructure, towards investment, towards growth and so on. So I think he's balanced both these aspects very well. Not just that, when you look at each of those segments that he has addressed, I think it's a very holistic addressing to all those segments.
In what could be termed as the biggest takeaway of this year's budget, the government announced National Health Protection Scheme, under which a medical cover of ₹5 lakh will be given to 100 million households for secondary and tertiary care hospitalization.
वैसे भी सरकार का एक प्रयास रहा है कि कई योजनाओं के माध्यम से हम उस वर्ग की विशेष रूप से सहायता करने का प्रयास करते हैं। इसमें उज्ज्वला योजना की संख्या 8 करोड़ कर देना और जो मेगा हेल्थ स्कीम हम लोगों ने अनाउंस की है, मुझे लगता है वो बहुत बड़ी योजना है।
Indian government, which plays a key role in Bhutan's foreign policy, has allocated $398.3 million for the next fiscal year for the various development projects. Sri Lanka and Maldives were allocated $22 million and $18 million respectively. The allocation of increased amount to its neighbors comes in the wake of the China's growing influence in the region in the name of its flagship One Belt, One Road. Nepal, which has witnessed political turmoil, was allocated $97 million for projects, almost 75% more than last year. The budget also declared for $42 million towards schemes for projects in Myanmar. Mauritius also was allocated $52 million, where India has signed an MOU for the improvement in sea and air transportation facilities at the Aga-Liga Island.
India, which has been working on the development of the strategic Chabahar port in Iran, will contribute $22.5 million this year. Moving on, now we talk about Pakistan-occupied Kashmir (POK), a part of erstwhile princely state of Jammu and Kashmir, which is under illegal Pakistani occupation since 1948. However, people of the region are showing a strong resistance to the misrule and are fighting against years of exploitation. A report.
These political activists from Pakistan-occupied Kashmir gathered in Leeds city of United Kingdom to raise their concerns and sought international community's intervention to resolve issues. Organized by the United Kashmir People's National Party, the event underscored the lack of freedom of speech and expression in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The leaders exposed Pakistan Army and secret agencies who are working to crush the voice of Kashmiris and other political activists.
But the Supreme Court is unable to provide any remedy for those people who is missing. They are their ones who protest, who hold camps, who long march. But in Pakistan, the powerful military establishment and the intelligence agencies is not ready to listen any political parties or Supreme Court.
In Muzaffarabad, the capital city of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, a large number of people gathered to demand freedom from Pakistani occupation. At the convention of the United Kashmir People's National Party, the national leaders criticized Islamabad for its discriminatory policies against Kashmiris and raised the demand for its sovereignty.
मादरे वतन कश्मीर की मुकम्मल आज़ादी, खुद मुख्तारी और खुशहाली के लिए जद्दोजहद कर रही है। पीपल्स नेशनल पार्टी ये जद्दोजहद कर रही है कि आप नौजवान जो यहाँ बैठे हुए हैं,
Pakistan, who has been exploiting resources of Kashmir in return, has given poverty, unemployment and underdevelopment to the region. The people of POK have launched a resistance against Islamabad's oppressive rule and demand freedom from its occupation.
A large number of people from Pakistan-occupied Kashmir live in exile in Europe and other Western countries. Moving on to Afghanistan, where the security situation has become increasingly volatile after the Taliban and Islamic State carried out deadly attacks in the capital and region around it. The attacks that have killed around 160 people and have severely injured hundreds of others once again raised questions on Afghans' ability to contain insurgency in the country. A report.
More than 16 years after Taliban was overthrown by the US-led security forces, terrorist organization is increasingly gaining ground in the country and has become a constantly magnifying challenge for the Kabul establishment. A series of deadly attacks by the resurgent Taliban and Islamic State faction of the country killed nearly 160 people and injured hundreds of others in its recent spate of attacks in a period of 10 days, which targeted civilians and military personnel identically. Masoom Steinzai, Chief of the National Directorate of Intelligence, says the security forces are doing everything they can to combat the insurgents and their allies.
ما در ظرف یک هفته تنها در یک هفته گذشته 195 نفر به ارتباط جرایم تروریستی دستگیر کردیم و این شامل افراد مختلف هستند، از جاهای مختلف هستند، از مناطق مختلف هستند، از ولایات مختلف هستند و از کشورهای مختلف هستند.
Kabul government has repeatedly stated the security situation in the country was under control. However, the rising casualties narrate a different story. According to the Afghan Defense Ministry, there are currently more than 20 active insurgent organizations inside the country, and in response to the threat, the Afghan military has launched a 3-month counter-terrorism operation since the beginning of winter. Acting Defense Minister Tariq Shah Behrami told a press conference security forces had carried out 373 cleans missions, 443 assaults, and 389 air strikes over the past 38 days.
طی عملیاتایی که نیروهای امنیتی در پیشاپیش از اردو انجام داد، در این مدت 1806 نفر از طالبان از بین رفته، 1093 تن اینا زخمی شدن 86 نفر دستگیر شدن، 41 نفر از قماندانان اینا از بین رفتن، 395 تن از داعشیا از بین رفته و 75 تن اونا زخمی شده و 9 تن از قماندانان برجسته داعشیا طی عملیات از بین رفته.
US President Donald Trump, who has been contemplating a surge in the number of troops in Afghanistan, has condemned atrocities committed by the Taliban in Afghanistan and ruled out any possibility of talks with the terror mongers. He said the United States would finish what it has to finish.
Bombing in the middle of children, in the middle of families, bombing, killing all over Afghanistan. So we don't want to talk with the Taliban. There may be a time, but it's going to be a long time. Now we're all out, and that's taking place right now, and it's a whole new front, and it's a whole new set of principles that we're being governed by. When we see what they're doing and the atrocities that they're committing and killing their own people, and those people are women and children, many, many women and children that are totally innocent, it is horrible. So there's no talking to the Taliban. We don't want to talk to the Taliban. We're going to finish what we have to finish. What nobody else has been able to finish, we're going to be able to do it.
Taliban regime was ousted by the US-led military operations launched in the wake of 9/11 attack. Subsequently, Afghanistan became a democratic state and successfully conducted presidential elections. However, after the NATO forces left the country in December 2014, leaving the security management of the country to the Afghan forces only, the security situation has only crumbled.
President Ashraf Ghani has called Pakistan as Taliban center and said he was waiting for Pakistan to act. Afghanistan leadership has long accused Pakistan of aiding terrorists and providing them safe havens in its territory. Let's move to Maldives, where the people and opposition Maldivian Democratic Party has taken to streets after the government has not acted on the ruling of the Supreme Court asking the immediate release of the former President Mohamed Nasheed and 8 other opposition leaders. We have Mr. N. Jha, former Indian ambassador to Maldives, to give further insights into the increasingly growing unrest in the island nation. Mr. Jha, how do you see these recent political developments in Maldives and President Yamin's undemocratic reaction on Supreme Court's ruling?
First and foremost, it's a very major step in favor of restoration of democracy in Maldives, the decision of the Supreme Court of Maldives. I can only hope that all parties concerned will accept it as a democratic verdict and act accordingly. As far as the Maldives president is concerned, you are aware that you are aware of the coup that took place a few years ago, which overthrew President Nasheed, who was democratically elected president of that island. So I only hope that the present president of Maldives, in order to restore his image, at least he accepts this decision and acts accordingly.
Do you think that President Yamin should resign and pave a way for the systematic democratic exercise to follow?
He should resign, of course he should resign, because it's a very major decision of the Supreme Court of Maldives. But I doubt if he will. And in this, he'll be fully backed in whatever consultations he carries out with the Chinese by that country. Because Chinese have an important stake in the continuation of the present setup in those islands.
Do you think other countries should play an active role in bringing stability to Maldives?
Well, the Chinese will like to have stability there at their own cost, but as per their own design. But the fact remains that that will not be acceptable to India. And the former President Nasheed even said a couple of days ago, it came out today, this morning's newspapers, that the Indian Ocean is rightly called named after India. So this is something that shows which way the inclination is. And this being so, the Chinese will try to do their utmost to avoid a restoration of a government there which is pro-India. So we should look out for that, but only hope that it does not happen.
Thank you, Mr. Jha, for sharing your thoughts on the situation in Maldives. Moving on to Nepal, which has made significant developments in bolstering its ties with the neighboring countries, especially its all-weather friend India, through various diplomatic and social channels. Indian External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj was on a two-day goodwill visit to Kathmandu. The visit assumes significance as Nepal stands on the cusp of forming new government after it successfully held its parliamentary elections. A report.
India's External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj visited Kathmandu to meet India's friends from all parties in a bid to further strengthen the relationship between two countries. Her visit came at a time when the Left Alliance in Nepal prepares to form a new government that will most likely to be headed by former Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. This was India's first diplomatic engagement with the Himalayan nation since the Communist Party of Nepal, Unified Marxist-Leninist and CPN Maoist Centre catapulted to power. Sushma met KP Sharma Oli and other political leaders in the country, including Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deoba and President Bidya Devi Bhandari. She also met CPN Maoist Centre Chairman and former Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachanda. India, which surrounds Nepal on three sides and shares a strong diplomatic, cultural and people-to-people relationship with country, has had a major political and economic influence on Nepal. The landlocked nation depends on India for oil and other goods. The strong association of two countries is manifested by the fact that their citizens do not need any visa to enter each other's territory.
In the Union Budget 2018, India has given over $100 million for projects, a nearly 75% increase from what was allocated to it in 2017-18. To speak more on Indo-Nepal ties, we are now joined by Koshraj Koirala, a senior journalist based in Kathmandu. Mr. Koirala, how fruitful you believe was the recent visit of India's External Affairs Minister to Nepal?
I think it was very fruitful. Fruitful in the sense that it helped to clear the misunderstanding that some political parties, especially the UML, had with the Indian side, because Prime Minister Modi himself, sent his foreign minister as an emissary, with his political message, and Indian side has reportedly said that India is ready to work with any government that will be formed in Nepal. So that has I think has cleared the misunderstanding that the UML party probably had in Nepal. And also I think the two leaders, the Minister Swaraj and the former Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli, is said to form the new government, have had long discussion how they can promote bilateral relation. And we were told by the UML leaders that the two leaders also held discussion about the future area of cooperation. They discussed about energy cooperation, they discussed about enhancing connectivity and others. So I think this was a fruitful visit overall, yeah.
The country is in the process of forming a new government. Do you believe that the bilateral ties will carry the same strength after KP Sharma Oli takes over as Prime Minister?
I think yes. No matter which government comes in power in Kathmandu, they cannot afford to ignore India. And the two leaders actually, they had discussion about this. And we were told by the UML leaders after the meeting between Minister Swaraj and KP Sharma Oli that both the sides actually discussed about working together closely, and Sushma Swaraj had conveyed the message of Prime Minister Modi that he wanted to work closely with the UML-led government, and also UML leader in response said that he was also eager to work closely with India. So that gives, I think, both the sides are eager to work closely in the days to come.
Thank you, Mr. Koirala. Moving on to India, which is known for its incredible cultural diversity, where stages and platforms have been used to exhibit the richness of Indian culture, with recent one being the Bharat Parv, where the different cultures congregated inside the premises of majestic Red Fort in the Indian capital, New Delhi. Have a look.
The grandeur of the Bharat Parv, a week-long festival held under the aegis of Indian Ministry of Tourism to promote rich cultural diversity of the country, mesmerized tens of thousands in the Indian capital city of New Delhi. The congregation of the people from around the country with different cultures, faiths and traditions underscored the idea of Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat, One India, Best India, painting the environment with a patriotic fervour. More than 50 stalls from across the country, arranged by collaborative efforts of state and the union government, showcasing colourful customs and traditions of the country, were the centre of attraction of the visitors. Exhibitors said their objective in the festival was not just of showcasing the rich culture, but also to enlighten the younger generation about the exuberance country has carried for centuries.
We are very, very glad to participate here because the new generation are very enthusiastic to see our cultural all these traditional products. First of all, suppose the one student like class 11 or 12, he or she has never been seen this product and this type of traditional design, and they become very enlightened.
Enthusiastic folk and classical dancers from different states also enthralled the visitors with their energetic moves. These dancers, with their dressing and jewellery, not only represented the lifestyle and tradition of their state, but also promoted the ethnicity India as a whole.
I am here. I enjoyed all the things. Really, it's a very good arrangement, and I think it not only attract the Indian people but also the foreigner. So I am grateful, and I'm very lucky person. I've got the opportunity to enjoy this one. So I have visited the whole area, but unfortunately I can't enter into Lalka. I'm really grateful to the government of people of India who have arranged this arrangement. It's a very good arrangement and nice, and I really enjoyed it.
The festival had a lot more to offer. The food stalls from different states of country served as a heaven for the foodies, may it be the litti chokha and khaja from Bihar or the dumplings from Manipur. Every dish was relished by the visitors. The Mega Bharat Parv Mahotsav was exemplary and an epitome on how to preserve the rich cultural heritage of the country. Indian government has taken numerous initiatives to preserve the rich and diverse history and culture, and Bharat Parv was amongst them.
Bharat Parv is thus a great initiative by the Government of India that not only promotes the rich cultural diversity of the country, but also generates a patriotic mood among its denizens. With that, we come to the end of this week's episode. See you next week. Take care and goodbye.